Are we good on the captions? Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is August 13th, 2025. It's the regular meeting of the Santa Monica Disabilities Commission. I'm going to start with attendance. Commissioner Rockfelt.
Present.
Commissioner Antonini.
Present.
Commissioner Cosmea Dodge. Commissioner Cosmea Dodge.
Well, I guess it's me. I don't see my name.
No. Here, you want to turn your mic on?
I'm here.
All right, there, it just came up. Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
Commissioner Royale,
Present.
and Commissioner Elliott's here. We have a quorum. We have a few folks who haven't shown up yet. All right, thanks, everybody. I'm going to start with item 1 on the agenda, public input on non-agenda items. Do we have anybody from the public? We do not. All right. Same for item number 2, public input. Don't see anybody from the public, so I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to skip to 3B because we don't have anybody to reappoint yet. So I'm going to move on to 3BI, commissioner announcements and resources. And a lot of these are mine, so I can give a little overview of each of them. Give me a second. Okay, so 3BI, the Los Angeles County Aging and Disabilities Department is redoing a lot of their disability services. Santa Monica is in the city of Los Angeles County, and they're surveying everybody with disabilities on how to improve their programming. So share this hyperlink. We want to get as much feedback from the community, family members, people with disabilities on how to improve LA County services. I'm trying to find it. The survey's in many languages. It's accessible and it's open until August 21st. So please share this around. The more feedback, the better. Any questions on that?
Yes. Is that accessible online? Because I was trying to.
Where do we find the link?
Yeah.
It's on the agenda under 3BI.
Oh, okay.
And you can take this hyperlink if you wanted to share it in an email or something.
I understand it's supposed to be like printed out and then send it to a specific address. That's what it says.
That's an option if you don't want to fill it out digitally or it's inaccessible
Okay, so,
digitally.
where is the link to digital version? Can you show?
If you scroll down to the second page under 3BI.
I see. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Great, so the more feedback we can get on that, the better, so we can improve services across LA County. 3B2, this is just a link to the power and duties of the Disability Commission. I wanted to take a step back and just make sure we're all clear on what our role and our duty for the city is, so I just wanted to share that. I think we'll try and go over just some of the fundamentals of being a commission over the next few months, just so we're all on the same page. But I just wanted to start with a link to what's our role. And even I learned some stuff about that in the past, the commission usually did like a public hearing. So that's just a reference material on what our role is in the city ordinance. 3B3. So a big concern in the disabilities community is just the big beautiful bill, as it's called, just what the impact will have on California services, in particular Medicaid, CalFresh, et cetera. So there was a video put together by California Health and Human Services that really goes over that. It's about a 55-minute video in different sections, There's a section that goes over into impacts to Medicaid, CalFresh. So I just wanted to share that with the community because that comes up, and this is a good source to learn more about it. 3B4, this was just a major announcement. I know we've talked about mental health a lot, and there was an executive order that I thought would be interesting to the commission and the community around supporting young men and boys and addressing the suicide rates for young men and boys in California. So just want folks to have access to that. 3B5, this is just another good resource, and also 3B6. We've talked a little bit about emergency services, disaster responses. These are two great resources, 3B5 and 3B6. 5 is around writing plain language. Clear communication is key in disasters. So this is just a great resource on creating plain language documents and resources for the community. And then 3B6, this is a whole library of disaster resources by the California Office of Emergency Services. They have apps, infographics, everything you need in a one-stop shop, all the disability organizations across the state. This is like a clearinghouse of what would be helpful in disaster response. So just want to make sure the city and the community is aware of that. There's just great stuff. It would take hours to go through all of it, but this is a good starting point so you don't get caught in kind of the Google search rabbit hole. So that's it. This is very informational, but just wanted to share that. Any questions?
I guess one question about I'm reading through item 3B2, the powers and duties of the commission. So you mentioned the annual public hearing, which also was news to me. But then also there's the city's annual Americans with Disabilities Act compliance review and update. So is that something that we have done or they've presented to us in the past, or have you heard of this or know anything about that?
Historically, I'm not that familiar with us going over it, but it is kind of related to the update to the self-evaluation and transition plan. I see that's in that E area.
Okay.
So I think we will address it, and now that we have an ADA coordinator, we can kind of be more strategic about it, but maybe Commissioner Kazmia Dodge is more familiar with the historical. But definitely haven't done a public hearing, which I think is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kazmia Dodge?
Yeah, I had a question I was curious about the rescuing in the fire because it happened to me, and I only was able to get help because Erica, it was a liaison with the city. So I was wondering if there's any program like in emergency for people in wheelchairs and stuff to call or get a hold of, because luckily she just happened to live in the same building as me, but if she had not, I would not have known what to do, where to go, nothing. There was nothing out there for wheelchair. So
that's
something that for disabled people in emergency, that's something that's really necessary somehow to get that.
I think the city council still working on that plan, so they're not kind of finalized it yet. So.
Yeah, my understanding is part of a city plan, there would be a section on access and functional needs. Some players that might be involved are like the CERT team. Some county agencies have an access and functional needs disaster relief team that are trained in that. The Red Cross, but that's something I think we should, maybe when we talk about future agenda items, is really diving into this and knowing exactly what to do. I was CERT trained actually as part of this commission, and they covered a little bit around access and functional needs, but I like to have a specific idea of what to do and who to reach out to. So let's keep on bringing that up.
I'm more than happy to give Commissioner Dodge my number too. I think she lives nearby. That might be a good thing, because that's what I was doing with Commissioner Sussman too.
Helping out the fellow community members, always a great idea.
But
And the
here is like not the only like single matter. It's a matter for all other people too. So to have kind of sort of help in case of emergency. So it's very kind of you. Thank you. So, but we have to think about the city and a lot of people who have disability and who might need help.
Yeah, well, maybe when we talk about future agenda items, maybe I think a disaster one, maybe bring in Lindsay Call, or someone from her team to talk about this specifically. And I'm going to suggest anything else, or should we move on to the consent calendar? All right, I'm going to move on to 5A. If folks had a chance to review the minutes, give folks a minute to do that. And if you review it and it's okay, if I could get a motion and a second on it.
Yeah, most important thing is that it shows the election of the new chair and vice chair, so I'm on board.
Can I get a motion for approval?
Yeah, I move that we adopt the minutes from the July 9th meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. That's approved. I'm gonna, thanks, sorry, I gotta take a second. I'm gonna move on to 6, public input on remaining agenda items. I don't see any members of the public, so I'm gonna keep it moving. So 9, staff administrative items. 9A, discussion on possible action on completing the 2025 to 2026 annual work plan. We've take a look at the print, this PDF, and there's also digital copies on the agenda for the community and folks if you want to look at it at home. And we have, thanks so much, Alana Reamerman from the Senior Human Services Analyst from the Homelessness Prevention and Intervention Division. She's going to report on this, and we'll talk about it. And just some context, I just filled in like what a lot of the stuff is just basic information. This is totally a working draft. I just wanted to do what I knew we could put on there, but there's definitely stuff missing. It's definitely a rough draft, and the purpose of this is to talk about it and get it from here to a completed draft. So we're not married to anything on here. And we'd like to welcome our guest.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. Alana with the Homelessness Prevention and Intervention Division. And I guess I don't have any prepared comments. I was just here to support in the discussion. So I don't know how you guys usually structure these conversations, but I'm happy to jump in and provide feedback and ideas where you guys want them. So.
I can start and folks, please jump in. So a challenge, so on number 9, the work plan section, in the past, we've even had our liaison fill that in. We want to make sure what we're doing here is aligned with the bigger goals. And then I think even last year that was filled in and we added on to that. But if you could maybe speak a little bit to what the existing goals are that we should definitely take into consideration and build upon, or things we should definitely think about for 25, 26. That might be a good place to start.
Well, the first thing that comes, or the main thing that comes to mind for me is the Aging and Disability Action Plan that's going to council in September, which I spoke about with you either last month or the month before. And there's a lot of things that have already come up in today's conversation that tie in, like the disaster preparedness, the ability to exit a building if you have mobility issues, the plain language documentation in terms of how the city is communicating with its constituents. So there's a lot that ties in. So I think there could be something around helping support with implementation of the Aging and Disability Action Plan, because that's going to be happening starting early 2026. And I could, when does the work plan need to be final? Is today the goal to finalize it, or?
Can we get some guidance?
It's due, I believe, November 1st, 2025. So today is not the last day to finalize it. It's a working session. So we have some months, but it's on the agenda to, I guess, brainstorm.
And just one comment on that. For next year, can we try and move that earlier? Because if for 26, 27, if it's going to be a fiscal year plan, I'd like to get it closer to July 1, just on for the record.
So what I was thinking perhaps is that if there were, once the action plan is public and you can see the specific strategies in there, if there were specific goals within the plan that you wanted to incorporate into your work plan, like these are a few that really are important to us as a commission, maybe you could specifically list those or name them somehow. But that would probably need to wait till the September meeting. So I don't know if that works with your timeline. So.
Do you have the specific council meeting that
September 9th.
Okay.
So I believe that would be before the September
Yeah.
Disabilities Commission meeting. And we have also, within our division, we have the homelessness strategic plan, which I believe you guys were briefed on maybe earlier this year. So that's going to be another big project that our division is working on, which of course there's disability focused strategies in there as well, or strategies that impact people with disabilities. I know in the previous time I was here, we also talked about youth with disabilities. So if that was something of interest to the commission, I think we would be supportive of advancing some work there as well. I'm trying to think of other things that are going on in the next, or in this current fiscal year that would be good for you to plug into. One thing that comes to mind as well is we administer the Human Services Grants Program, and we'll be starting to work on our new request for proposals probably in this fiscal year, like towards the end of this fiscal year. So maybe there would be some opportunities for you all to provide input on that document, because that's our main social services funding for the city of Santa Monica. So that would be another thing. I would have to check exactly when that's gonna start. Agnieszka, do you know? Okay.
We've done that in the past. We've
Yeah.
both provided input on the RFP and assisted on scoring, so that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, and I think we're needing to start that. It might not start till 26, 27, just depending on when we start that process. So that might be something for next year's work plan.
I know a big thing too is working with the ADA coordinator on the updates to the self-evaluation and transition plan. My understanding is that's this fall. That's huge. I think that has to be on there. Just being involved in the most extent we can be involved with that. That's such a critical document, and it's been a while. And it ties into one of our big goals, the updates to Title II of the ADA. Two big things, the digital accessibility piece, websites, apps, SharePoints, everything has to be accessible. That's got to be in the plan. And also the other thing is medical diagnostic equipment. That's also a Title II update. So just making sure all that is in an updated plan is crucial. So I definitely think that should be a piece, is the plan, and then we can get into specifics as we hear more from the coordinator.
Yeah, and that also is referenced in the Aging and Disability Action Plan too. So I think it ties into different things that are going on.
May regarding homelessness prevention for people with disability, what I see so far, everything people trying to kind of do by themselves. I mean, we do have lots of resources, but they don't know where to find them. That's the one thing. Second things, everything is time consuming. For example, if somebody facing eviction, they might go to legal aid, but the legal aid has limited power. For example, they're not gonna sue anybody. They're just gonna write a letter. So, and plus it's kind of like they can kind of be involved in a conversation with the landlord, but if landlord doesn't want to, communicate, legal aid won't do anything. So my question is there some sort of mechanism can be covered and discussed in all these plans, which kind of like save those people time and inform them about like resources available? Because some people going through a nightmare. For example, if somebody facing eviction, they just like, and it's like 70 plus years old person who on disability don't have income, where to go? So like,
Yeah, I mean, the main organization we have to offer is the Legal Aid Foundation of LA.
I know, but
Yeah, and so that's the legal services provider that we have in Santa Monica that we have a contract with. And they work really closely with the city attorney's office as well. So in times when a landlord is not,
okay,
the city attorney's office can step in and help support as well if there's larger issues going on with, people not being responsive to legal documents.
I help some people who had issues, and their cases was pending forever with city attorney office.
Yeah, well, it does
So-
take a long time, and there's really not
Yes.
much we can do about that. The legal process, that's just the
So,
courts move slow.
also
the response
it's-
times are slow.
Also, it's very surprising that a lot of landlords don't know what is reasonable accommodation for disability and how to handle that process. It's very surprising that like they don't know what to do with it. If somebody like asking for reasonable accommodation for disability, I don't know if that like somebody need to train them or like something have to happen, because you cannot ignore a person who asking for assistance who has like confirmed disability. But that's what's happening here.
Yeah, and Legal Aid Foundation of LA does handle disability accommodation requests as well. That's
I
another
actually
type of
know them pretty well, the Legal Aid Foundation. So, and I know their resources limited. They cannot help everybody.
Yeah, they can't
Which
help
i-
everybody,
yeah,
but
I mean, it's like no blame, but it's kind of like understandable. It's a lots of happening. So, and they had like limited resources. What I'm saying is probably city have to do something.
yeah,
So, like,
other
you
thing
know,
that's
like
gonna
offer
be
some sort of training,
yeah.
issue some sort of, I don't know, additional codes regarding like people with disability. Because what I see, they saying like, okay, so if you ask for reasonable accommodation, you have to stay and wait when will be your turn. We will put you on a waiting list, etc., etc. That's not the response. And that's not how it works. So the law is pretty strict. It's a federal law, it's a state law, and I'm not understand why it's not enforceable. Why in a city level, they also kind of like trying to skip in those cases with disability. I have examples when they like pending for years and doing like nothing. So it's not supposed to be like this, even on a city level.
Yeah, and I'm not an attorney, and I can't really speak to the law side of it. But that might be something that the city attorney's office would be able to do. It would provide training on stuff like that. And one thing that your comments reminded me of that could potentially be part of the work plan is the expansion of the Right to Counsel program and the Flexible Financial Assistance program that was approved by council this March. And that's going to expand legal services to more people in Santa Monica. So there'll be more capacity on the
That's
legal
good.
side, and there'll also be expanded financial assistance. And that's something that's happening within Housing and Human Services Department and will be launching in 2026. So that I would think would be a good thing to get your involvement in, especially as it pertains to people with disabilities. And
Because I see, like, I'm listening city council meeting periodically, and I see like people talking about legal services for different groups, but nobody talking about legal services expansion for people with disability.
yeah, well,
People with
it's not specific to any particular population, but actually people with disabilities would be prioritized for those resources because we're going to be using basically like a vulnerability tool, and if you have a disability, you would be basically prioritized for
I hope so,
rental
because like
assistance. And
so far I don't see that they are prioritized.
I think
So
I want to get back to just kind of procedures. Let's give folks chances to complete their thoughts, and let me call on folks. Let me call on commissioners, because we're getting kind of a little bit too conversational. I want people to be able to completely get their thoughts, have just kind of get back to some of the procedures. But I think another opportunity, speaking to the lack of clarity around reasonable accommodations, that's something we should address in the self-evaluation plan. Just, it should be articulated how people request reasonable accommodations. That's part of Title II. And also like clearly articulating other fundamental undue burden, just things within the Title II of the ADA. Just make sure those are clear to internal and external folks. Commissioner Cosmea Dodge?
Yeah, I was curious about how we could get more information on exactly how many, if it's possible, if there's, like with the legal aid, how many disabled people actually have used it, need it, are projected to use it? I mean, are they looking into that specifically with legal aid and seeing what can be done? Because for me, legal aid's been great. I didn't even know that, it was difficult to get the services. So I'm trying to figure out if there's like a history that says, okay, the legal aid was able to do that many services for the disabled, et cetera, that kind of thing. So we can really have a factual base and physical, and improve it that way.
Yeah, well, I don't know that we have data on the need, like specifically talking about evictions. Like eviction data is really hard to get just in general. But then when you add demographic information onto it, I think it would be really challenging to get that. But we do have, for our grants that we administer, we do post our year-end reports, and that has data about how many people with disabilities are served through all of our grant programs, and so that is public information. So you could look at those to see, what
But could
that,
we get
what
it
those
just, I mean,
numbers.
we're Santa Monica. We're the Disabilities Commission in Santa Monica. I'm really interested in here in Santa Monica for us.
Yeah, and it is specific to Santa Monica.
I think we should ask not about how many cases was solved. We need to ask how many cases were dismissed or closed.
They have like a 99% positive success.
I don't think
rate.
so. I know
done
3
the
people,
cases.
they were dismissed by city attorney.
Well, I mean, I'm not, I can't, I don't know the specifics
Yeah,
of the
I
cases
mean,
you're
it's,
talking about, but
like, it's not the first time I'm hearing that information. So, and I would like to know the data. How many cases they just like close and how many cases they help. So,
mean, we
because
could
I
have-
see underserved disabled people here.
yeah, I mean, we could, similar to what we did with Disability Community Resource Center and Step Up, we could have them come and do a presentation, because I don't want to speak for them. And if that's something that interests you, we could arrange that.
So let's bring that up for 13A on future agenda planning to get someone from that organization to go in the weeds with the data, get what we need. We'll work with the staff liaison because that's key. I want to get the right folks to give us the right data so we can have the right interventions and advice to them.
Yeah, we can definitely support with that.
Yeah, because Step Up actually did appear, and they've been just tremendous. And so I'm going to see if I can ask because I should be meeting with them to find out. When you say Step Up, who from Step Up, what department do you think?
I was speaking about the Legal Aid Foundation of LA. We could have them come and do a presentation, similar to what Step Up did.
Oh, so you weren't saying for Step Up to come back?
No, for the Legal Aid Foundation, a representative from them to go over some of the data about their cases and some of the questions.
That's a very great idea.
Yeah.
Let's ask legal aid. We can ask a city attorney office because they supposed to have data, how many cases they close and how many people they helped.
Yeah, let's bring that up in 13A. That's a great idea for a future agenda, for sure.
So you're saying for LAFLA to show up just like Step Up did?
Yeah,
Oh,
and give
okay,
an overview, how they had the PowerPoint presentation with their data. I think it's come up several times, so let's try and make that happen.
That'd be great.
But I just want to table it for the later. It fits more nicely in that agenda item.
Okay, and I'm terribly sorry. Your name's Alana, is it?
Correct, yes.
Okay, because I was looking at, okay. And would this have anything also to do with the vouchers and all?
That's separate. Yeah, that's a separate. And I'm actually not, I don't work for the Housing Authority, so
Yeah.
that would be a different staff that would have details on the Housing Authority side.
Okay, all right.
And Well, one thing that's come up, we had several ad hocs on this topic. It's digital accessibility. It's tied to we're about 8 months away from the compliance date for ADA Title II the web and mobile accessibility rule, that every document, every application has to meet the web content accessibility guidelines, ANAA. That includes it's so big. I think that should probably be on there. And that we'd really like to talk to the chief information officer and the public information officer, because they're going to be creating every flyer, every PDF, every Word document. And I'm curious about their process on how to make sure every staff knows every time you make a Word document, you have to run it through the web accessibility checker. Every time you make a Adobe Acrobat file, before you send it out, you have to run the accessibility checker. I'm guessing that needs to be happening, because we're 8 months away, and you know, the more we can prevent, the easier it's going to be to get into compliance. And there's SharePoint as tools, and we have experts who can, you know, just point when they're creating their trainings, you know, point them in the right directions. And other cities already have like robust training programs, so we could be really helpful in that.
Yeah, I was going to add too that it's, you know, maybe relatively small beer compared to some of the other things that are being discussed, but, you know, in this year's work plan, we had like a couple of specific items that we wanted to get done, but, you know, they all kind of require working with the IT staff. And so, you know, I think we should keep those items in our future work plan, but yeah, we just need to have like a closer collaboration with them in order to get these things done.
No, thank you for bringing back the bullet points on number 8, that we if we just had a webmaster, we could knock them out in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they'd be really impactful. And then like for the bullet point, add resources to the accessibility in Santa Monica section. We could curate some of the stuff we've been putting on past agendas and stuff we've put together, resources on digital accessibility. So no, yeah, that'll definitely be on this. Thank you, Commissioner.
And just, it reminded me, your comment reminded me of something that I personally would like to do, is to consolidate aging and disability resources onto the city website in a way that's more logical than it is now. So that's something that has been on my list to do for a long time. So whenever would be the right time to do that, I would be happy to get feedback from you all on what should be included on the website.
Go ahead.
So have you actually tried to implement any of those changes? Was it a complicated process internally?
For the website?
Your idea of adding or making changes to the website, was there an attempt to do it and it got difficult? I just want to understand maybe what the process is within the city to make these types of changes.
We haven't tried it yet, but we were thinking, because the Aging and Disability Action Plan was in process, that it would make sense to do it after that was basically public. So we haven't tried it yet, but from what I understand, it's not too complicated of a process to restructure the website.
And from your understanding, what would be the process that you would go through as an employee of the city?
We would just have to work with Agnieszka and our IT and comms teams there are certain limitations to how we can structure the web pages. So we would have to find the right fit for how we want to display the information. But we are doing that right now for our homelessness work. We're restructuring the website, so it definitely can be done, but it is a process, but I don't think it's too hard to do it.
Is there someone typically within the IT department who shepherds these changes? I'm just trying to get an idea of the organizational structure, because as we go into it, any information you can provide would be helpful for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the specific details. I would have to do a little research myself on that.
Tom, it would be really nice to get an idea of what you would anticipate a process. We can talk to Chief Information Officer, we can talk to a lot of people, but knowing the nuts and bolts would just be helpful for us so we can ask the right questions to the right people to ensure a better chance of success.
Yeah, on that note, when I was chair a few years ago, they sent me like a template to fill out to update pages on the website, and, we went through it as a commission, and it just,
Died?
yeah, and I have the email receipt, so like, yeah, we just want to make it happen. We're good teammates. If it's filling out a template, we'll fill out a template. If it's a phone call and a template, we just want to make it happen because we have great resources to offer. We can help consolidate. It's one of our goals, so we'd love to be helpful on this. So I'll just go over just the last couple things we haven't touched base on that are under 9. There's obviously AI is a big topic for our group. Maybe there's space for that, both the opportunities and the risks. Well, I'll talk a little bit about it when we get on that item, but I think there's space for that. Hopefully there's something we can build on that the city's working on, and if not, this could be an opportunity to really get them share some things that'll be helpful, because it's one of the topics of our time. So I think we have to do that. And then I think the only other, definitely give props to some of the stuff we've already done this fiscal year, like we had the proclamation, just want to include that. And then maybe have a public hearing that's in the ordinance that we haven't done in a few years, but really, putting some effort to making that happen sometime this fiscal year. And this is a working document, so if you get an idea, you can shoot me an email. If some doesn't come right now, we have about 2 more meetings to really finalize this. I'd like, just thinking about timeline, get a better draft next one, and then have like some final on the October meeting, like posted saying a second to, submit this. So that's kind of the timeline. Maybe we can form an ad hoc to meet a little bit between to work on this, but I'd like to get this done by the October meeting.
And maybe one idea too on the public hearing, since we've talked about the having a retreat in the past, it might be nice if we combine those two. We can just have sort of a big public session and then, follow that up either before or after with the retreat, where we work more on our plan for what we want to do for, the upcoming year, or how we want to execute on it.
That's a great idea. That's a good transition to like closing out 25, 26, kicking off. That's good. Any more thoughts? Any more questions? I think we got a lot to work with, and we got some great ideas. I see some stuff that we have synergy on with the city, some unique things. I think we got a process. I think we'll talk about that next item, but I think we should get an ad hoc, like we did in the last one, that just has a Teams meeting or a Zoom or something, and we can flesh it out a little bit more. In the past, I'd do like a screen share and we talk through each item. And I can type or someone else can type it. But just want to put it out while we have our guest here. Any more questions, any more thoughts? All right, thank you so much for coming, Alana. We appreciate it.
Of course, yeah, thank you for having me, and let me know if I can support with the next steps in the work plan.
And thank you. Do you have a business card?
I don't, but I can give you, I can write down my information for you right now.
Okay. Thank you.
I never got business cards, I know.
Will we have?
Oh,
should
good
get a
que-
business
Well, that's, that, no, good call. Let's, business cards. Even, yeah, let's talk about that, for 13A. Let's talk about it. All right, thank you, and as we'll publicly post our drafts before they're finalized so that everyone will be on the same page. Thanks so much. That was a really good discussion. I think we're in a good spot to get this done by the deadline. Okay, I'm gonna move along to 3B, reports from ad hoc committees and liaisons and discussion and possible action on reestablishing and/or establishing additional ones. 9BI, the ad hoc committee on AI opportunities and risks, Commissioner Antonini and me, Chair Elliott. I have some resources, but maybe, Joe, I saw what you sent. Maybe you want to kick it off?
Sure, yeah, so I've promised this a couple meetings back, but now finally had the time to, kind of write up a first draft of the letter. Unfortunately, I only finished the draft after the agenda was finalized, so I wasn't able to post it on the agenda, but it'll be on next month's agenda, and we can go through it in more detail. It turned out, the letter turned out to be a bit longer than I had originally thought it was going to be. But basically, it's just 3 sections. There's, a section on the opportunities, kind of go through, how it will be able to help people with visual impairments or auditory impairments, people with intellectual disabilities, and people with mobility impairments. And then another section on the risks where you kind of go through the same, same set. And then last part is really the most important, which is the recommendations. So I really wanted to tailor the recommendations to be things that are, really relevant to the city government itself. There's lots of different government entities at the state level, the federal level, that are all thinking broadly about AI and, how to regulate it and, what needs to be done there. But I really wanted to focus on what can the city specifically do that has to do with disabilities. And so I started off with a couple of recommendations that are more focused on, just the digital space, just because that's a very natural fit for AI. So using AI to accelerate building the website or making the website accessible and making it conform to the new accessibility standards. This kind of that kind of work is oftentimes very repetitive. It just has to, happen across a large set of, websites or pieces of code. And that's the kind of thing that AI is really useful to really automate and, get it done fast. And then more broadly, there are ways we can use AI to improve digital accessibility. And so, there's ways that you can automatically provide alt text on images. I know that going forward, all images on the website, they are required to have alt text, but there's also a large archive of images on old web pages, that don't have this alt text. And so this is a way that it can sort of be backfilled into the archive pages and make those accessible. And then also, having a way to convert PDF documents into HTML, because HTML is generally a more accessible format than PDF is. And many of the, government documents tend to be in PDF first. So having a way to convert those in bulk from PDF into HTML would also improve accessibility, and AI can help with that. Then I have some recommendations around, so one would be a larger project for the IT staff, which would be to develop some kind of an AI chatbot to help people interface with city services. Because, as we've already mentioned earlier, there are a lot of services out there, but people don't always know that they exist. And even if they know that they exist, they don't know how to access them, or if they're eligible, or maybe they do get them, but they forget to reapply. They don't know how to like maintain their eligibility. So it would be really useful to just have a way where you can sort of type in natural language or say in natural language like what your situation is, and then it can just say, okay, you're eligible for X, Y, and Z. This is what you'd have to do. Here is exactly how you would apply, and what that whole process would be. That would be a way where you could really improve the accessibility of these kinds of services. And then I think the sort of on the negative side, the main recommendation there is just to avoid using AI in hiring systems, just because I think that the risks there just outweigh the benefits, any potential benefits you'd get. There's just been a lot of research into different ways that companies have tried to develop these like AI screeners for resumes and whatnot, and they invariably introduce some kind of implicit bias against people with disabilities. And so that's just something I think we should recommend that the city avoid. And then finally, I just have some broader recommendations about as we go through this process and start to become more familiar in this space, sharing what we learn with other cities, and then just asking them to keep us in the loop, because we're always happy to provide feedback to the city, and that's what we're here for. So the text of the draft, I think, is in reasonable shape, so I'll share that out in the next meeting. I still need to add some references. Over the past year or two that we've had this ad hoc, we've collated this mass of references. So I want to make sure that those are attached to this document, so that if anyone wants to go deeper, that's available for them. And yeah, it kind of as a fun appendix too, I was kind of thinking some of these tools can like take in a whole bunch of documents and then like provide some AI generated report. So I thought it might be fun too as an appendix, just to see like what the AI thinks of all the things that we've collected as well. But anyway, that's kind of where we are with that. And so, yeah, I don't know if anyone has any feedback or thoughts on what the summary I just outlined, but yeah.
Go for it.
Just a question. So you're putting a letter together of sorts that would be a recommendation to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be sent, or what would be the plan, or how would we get it to those that would need to see it?
I mean, the first step would be that we'd have to vote to, approve it. And then once we've done that, then I think Chair Elliott would email it out to the city council.
Yeah, and on official city letterhead, and that it goes out. It'll also be on our agenda for everyone to see, and it'll go through that formal process. I'll include all of, at least city council. We've included other folks, but make sure we get the broadest, right folks. And then probably we can talk about maybe doing a follow-up. What did you think? And yeah, it ties into like a wanting to have more connection with the city council. That when I did the proclamation, there was some interest in coming to our meeting. So when they come, we'll say, what did you think about the letter? And that could be a conversation point.
Wonder if doing that as an op-ed in anything would be a good idea as well.
Yeah, having like a shorter summary that we could publish would be useful.
On that note,
Question.
go ahead.
I wanted to know how we, like, having a AI chat box, disability chat box is absolutely marvelous. Have a little disability robot. Who would we go to make that? I mean, what department? How would we do that to make that happen, to get us a disability chat box? How would that be done? Or is that for later on?
I mean, so we would, that would mostly be a task for, the chief information officer to, actually implement that. But as I would imagine it would happen, like if I were in his shoes, trying to do this, what I would do is you'd basically want to partner with one of the AI services like ChatGPT or, Claude or Gemini, and use like kind of basically make queries to one of those and then add in basically like a custom prompt that, sort of provides the chatbot with, all of the relevant information about the city services. So it would mostly, I think, integrating like in terms of the APIs, I think actually fairly straightforward. I think that the most of the work would actually just be in evaluating it. You just want to make sure that it's robust, that it's not like making up information. So when you kind of get it set up, you would then want to just ask it all sorts of different questions and really, just push its limits and make sure that it's, providing safe and accurate information. Because the risk of something like that, of course, is that if it starts just making up information, that's dangerous. So most of the effort would, I think, just be in around evaluating its quality.
It's making me think too, is a question I'd have is, do we have a Gen AI policy, like San Francisco has one, San Jose, that's actually one of the resources. I have San Francisco's AI policy. So do they have one? What are they thinking about? And then how would this tool fit in those guardrails? And it does, other city and county policies have, you can use it for this, you can't use it for that, so I think that's actually a question when we present this to them, I'd want to know, like, do they have some? Are they thinking about something? And then point them to the resources we've put together. Here's every example of every city across the country. Take what you like, take what fits here, and then how can some of the tools or ways to use this fit into those parameters? But I also wanted to share that because it's here. It's not like we talked about this for a while and we're like, it's coming, and then there's ChatGPT 3 and 4 and 5, and now there's like official policies and it's being used. So it's not like this, thing that's eventually going to be here. It's here, so we got to figure out how to do it right or what not to do, what to do. So I think there's a little bit of more of a sense of urgency or more of a sense of like, stop kicking it down the road, stop ignoring it.
Yeah, and part of my ulterior motive in some of the earlier recommendations too is that that like developing like an AI chatbot for telling citizens how they can access city services. I mean, like that's great, but it's also like a big project. I like totally admit that. But some of the earlier recommendations around just like sort of leveraging AI tools to improve accessibility in the website, like that helps the people working on it to get familiar with these tools, so that when they kind of do decide to develop some AI chatbot, like they have a lot more experience with it, and hopefully we'll know its capabilities and limitations better. It's not just like something they read in a news article, but they've been like working with it day to day for some time.
I have a question. I'm obsessed with AI. It's a very good idea to teach people with disability how to kind of like navigate through all these options. But for example, a disabled person need to find out about some sort of services or what that person entitled to. They use an AI. AI gives the answer based on all this massive amount of information stored for many years, etc., etc. So that person reading this information clearly understand what that person entitled and what not entitled to. So with this information, that person going to physical office, for example, to apply for something, and there you meet reality. Some of those workers, for example, didn't make that research and they don't know all of this information, and they might deny that person. Is there any sort of solution for a situation like this? You understand what I mean? So, I mean, it's like, yes, for disabled person, it's very helpful. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of, I don't know, like, for example, physical actions. Like you don't have to call, you don't have to talk, you just have to use it. So to obtain all this information, updated information, which is supposed to be like true information. So, and you're reading this, you're relying, you go into office to apply, and then some basic worker saying to you like, no, we cannot take your application. That's not what, like, you are not attorney, you don't know. We know better. We work in that office for 30 years. So, and that's the reality. That's actually how everything happens now. So, like any solution.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, one of the things that people talk about, of course, is, you know, AI sort of automating some of these workflows that in the past couldn't be automated. And so, you know, there's, you know, as we've, over the past, you know, 50 years or something, as computers have started to play a larger role in our lives, like, you know, all these sorts of bureaucratic processes that in the past, you know, you basically could only do with pen and paper, with people in the loop. You know, over time, more and more of that is being offloaded into code and onto computers. But there have always been certain steps, parts where, yeah, you had to have a human in the loop. You know, like, I don't know, if you had to like verify a driver's license or something like that.
Who denies you?
Yeah, and so, but again, as you start, as AI starts to be incorporated into more of these workflows, I imagine it's just going to be the case that, you know, there's going to be fewer human bottlenecks in the system, right? Because there's just going to be fewer points where only a human can actually make, you know, do this specific processing step in the pipeline.
Just adding, it would be incumbent on the city or an enterprise to adopt AI themselves. You're going to find the workers or employees using AI depending on how they set it up, and that will, information, knowledge is ubiquitous. How to use it is going to be the challenge, and as you said, we'd need training.
It's also, you know, for example, the chat GPT, it's based on, like, the last information was changed in, what, 2023? So it's not like recent information. Gemini is like updated, and chat GPT, for example, people even using that, and it's not really accurate information.
What they do now
Sometimes.
is they incorporate, well, they do have a new chat out 5.0, but what they do is they do incorporate internet searches in almost all of the modes right now. So if it's something that needs to be found today, it searches the web. If it's something that is historically set, that's already sort of in the memory banks per se. Does that?
Yeah, and so I would imagine, and you know, again, if I were in the chief information officer's shoes and was tasked with like developing one of these chatbots, like basically you sort of have this large database of city documents that are, you know, all the current documents, and the chatbot can basically have the power or the ability to like search for documents and then read the documents and sort of incorporate that into its answer. And so even if it's, you know, sort of baked in knowledge is, you know, a few months or even a few years out of date, as long as it has access to the current set of documents, it can, you know, make sure to stay current. But again, this is why it's, you know, the evaluation process is really critical in making sure that it's actually a valuable product or a valuable tool. Because yeah, if it starts spitting out old, outdated, or inaccurate information, that, you know, is a problem.
Yeah.
Because instead of, you know, the human person saying, you know, sorry, your application is denied, now it's just the AI system saying, sorry, your application is denied. And that's not any better.
Yeah, a couple things I'm thinking about just looking at other policies. Just privacy, I mean, not like OpenAI or other places have these private models that you can just run on your laptop that don't go to a server. So what use cases is that appropriate with? What are appropriate that can go to a server, have them process your thing, your query in a data center, and then send it back? What are appropriate for that? And then what are appropriate for a really specialized training data set? Like I'm seeing mental health applications that are trained like only by clinicians, like they're not using those large, I think one's called Common Crawl, or like that has the whole internet with all, they like really have only curated stuff written by professionals. So I think defining what, the use cases and the parameters around each use case and how it fits into the larger city policy it's going to be challenging, but like we need to keep talking about this, and it's going to be ongoing, and it's going to evolve when ChatGPT 6 or Gemini 10 or comes out. Like we're going to have to keep, and we need to be involved. I think it's constantly iterating. We have to be involved, people with lived experience, and constantly evaluating. And also understand, when should we do it the old way? When is it more helpful to just use a pen and a paper to solve this? So like I think defining use cases, when to use it, when not to use it. Sometimes a Google search will get you, or a search engine will get you an answer quicker than a query. So it's a very complicated thing, and we're taking on kind of a Herculean task, but I'm glad we're just talking about it. And actually, it was covered in the Daily Press. Someone wrote about our ad hoc a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'll send the article out.
Interesting. And I'm glad that the data privacy part was mentioned twice, I think, because that's another paragraph in the letter as well, is that one of the risks is going to just be that, if people with disabilities end up relying on this technology more heavily in their lives, they're going to be, giving up more digital privacy. And, they're also at more of a risk of, cyber attacks, that kind of thing. So that's, if the city does, end up building some kind of AI chatbot, like keeping data privacy, first and foremost in mind is going to be really key to make sure that they steward that data appropriately.
What's Grok?
There's two Groks. Probably the better known one now is just another one of the large language models, one of the chatbots. This one is associated with X, formerly known as Twitter. So yeah, Grok is associated with X/Twitter. Gemini is associated with Google. ChatGPT is associated with OpenAI. Claude is associated with Anthropic. So it's just another chatbot.
No, okay. Then what's the one with Zuckerberg then? What's his?
Llama.
Lava. This is all happening so quick.
It's a lot of version of everything. I mean,
And then there's private ones that you can run on like a Mac with the silicon chip, and they're probably, I've heard, like the same quality as like ChatGPT 4, or maybe, so just a year ago we were like, now you can run what we were talking about a year ago on your laptop privately. So it's happening. That's why I think just the learning is gonna be, we have to keep talking about this and have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have these recommendations, and they're gonna be awesome if they're, but they're gonna be outdated in 6 months, or they're gonna have to be refined in 6 months. So
and it's getting
yeah.
complicated, and people have to even learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Basically, how to ask the question, because like depends the way you're asking, it will gives you like correct professional answer, or just like some random information. So
I think they call it like prompt engineering, or
yeah.
and I'm starting to see that in like learning, some government entities like have online learning platforms, and they're starting to have prompt engineering learning for employees in public and private sector. how to write a good prompt to get the response you want. That's going to be a skill. And then for people with disabilities, how to write the prompt to get accessibility support. That's a different type of prompt than like writing a brief or
Can
something.
believe or not, but some people not even kind of like able to ask a question.
Yeah, digital literacy is that's something we gotta advise on how to improve that for people with disabilities, definitely.
Yeah, we'll have more to discuss next month, but that's a sneak peek, I guess.
I can just, I'll fly through, I just shared a couple resources. I shared San Francisco's guidelines. UC Berkeley has definitions on each of these concepts, which are just helpful if defining what is AI in a technical way. UC Berkeley kind of has a clearinghouse of key technology terms. A big thing is the California Civil Rights Department. They're the same department that does Government Code 11135, which is the non-discrimination for people with disabilities. It's kind of like the ADA for California. They just created a new regulation to protect people with or protect against employment discrimination related to AI. They just passed it the end of June, and it goes into effect October 1st. So the state is, it's going to be part of our civil rights. But I just wrote I shared the link. Another article is just a clearinghouse of like cities and counties across the country. What are their AI policies? So just so you know, you have references. And then 5, this just came out. Illinois just put out a bill putting some constraints around AI for mental health therapy. That's starting to come up in the news a lot. Yeah, people are using it for mental health needs and having some really adverse reactions. So that's a concern, is people using chaplets as a therapist, and that's not what they're designed to do per se. Illinois is starting to regulate it and just wanted to share that example. That was a really robust conversation. So I'll take a deeper dive, maybe do some track changes and send it back, and we'll get it on the next agenda and move from there.
Yeah, it'd be great to get your thoughts on it.
Thanks for your hard work on that. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move the agenda along to item 2 on 9B. Disability Pride Month Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Commissioners Antonini, Cosmea Dodge, and me, Chair Elliott. If you look at this handout, this is a follow-up. At the City Council meeting, we received the Disability Pride Month proclamation. Actually, I have it at home, like on the fancy paper and everything, like the mental health one. But I wanted to share the text. So this is a copy verbatim. Just so you have it, the community has it, and then next year we can. I made this really quickly so we can improve upon it next year. So you guys all have a draft. And next year I'd like to do it, the last meeting of June or the beginning of July, so we have like the full month to, And I was talking with the ADA coordinator. There's probably going to be a budget for next year as well. So this was really, we got it. We kind of did it really quickly, but next year we'll we have time. We'll do better next. And you can watch it on YouTube. I took a photo with the city council, and I think it went on their social media. So just appreciate everyone's help on this. And yeah, we'll do it even better, maximize the budget, have an even better proclamation, and we'll have someone else accept the proclamation next year. We'll do this every year. It's a thing now.
Do we know how the budget was spent by the city this year?
Not clear. We'll follow up. Yeah, one thing I asked for is like the Microsoft accessibility tools, and we got some pushback at the last meeting from CIOB, but I'm not sure. we talked about like maybe some social media marketing, maybe some went into that. But that's for planning for next year. Let's way in advance, clearly articulate, get an idea of what the budget is and maximize spending. But I don't have a great answer.
Thank you for your work on this. I saw the photo too on the social media. It was good.
A lot of work. Yeah,
And again, we'll
great job.
we're 10 and a half months from the next one. So I think we have the template now. We'll do an ad hoc. We'll get the budget clear. We'll continuously meet with the ADA coordinator, city staff, clearly articulate what we want in the budget, launch it the end of June, and have a full month of stuff. So this was just the kickoff. This will be an every year thing. So any questions on that? And I want to move to close this ad hoc because we're done with it for the year, but I just want to open it up if there's any questions or anything before I move to close it. All right, not hearing anything. I'm going to move to sunset the Disability Pride Month Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Can I get a second on that?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's close. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I'm going to move the agenda to 3, report from the Housing Commission, Planning Commission, and Architectural Review Board meetings. Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, so I've been going to all these meetings, tried to go to the Landmarks Commission meeting because this is all tying together. Just very, very scary things going on. There's an acceleration of building. One thing that's come up, not only with the Architectural Review Board, which is worried about this, but also the Housing Commission, they have something that's called off-site affordable housing. Now, what these developers are trying to do is that they are required to have a certain amount, percentage of affordable housing in these, these huge 19, 20-story feet that they want to build all over town. So they've got this loophole where they're trying to work out of it, where they say, okay, we'll do affordable housing, but it's going to be in a separate building. And this came up in the Housing Commission meeting, and I think it just ties into also people who are disabled, because they're saying that people that are of a certain socioeconomic bracket or disabled seniors, the developers don't want them in that building. And with disabled people too. And that's what off-site affordable housing is. We're trying to stop it. The Housing Commission, the word they use is that they want to other people. It's like othering. And to see if they can get a deed, because we own the land, to get deed restricted off-site affordable housing. So they can build these, they're claiming there's market rate in affordable housing too. But I brought this up before. You have like a 173 unit building, like one of them's going up on Colorado. They're going up all over the place. With only 52 parking spaces. And then they're defining affordable as being $3,000 for a 350 square foot studio. So God knows what market rate is. We're all, it's a housing commission. They said, who's going to be able to afford to live there? Not to mention the fact that aesthetically, they're pretty scary looking. You know, it's like you're in a little box, you know, the buildings themselves. But anyways, the main thing is the off-site affordable housing. They're going to try to get the loophole to build a separate building that is really subpar, so that the people who may have vouchers would not be allowed to live there. They'll say it's an alternative. So the Housing Commission, it was really working a lot on the language to send to City Council. They're worried that City Council's just going to, chop it up and, water it down. But it'll affect people with disabilities too. You feel kind of powerless, but that's the main thing I'm doing is I've been going to all these different meetings. The Planning Commission just seems to be, rubber stamping everything without, even if there's public input or input from the Housing Commission, it's just kind of like, they don't take us very seriously. So that's what we're just trying to work on. Again, I'm new to this as a commissioner, but this AI stuff is way over my head, but at least as a human being, I'm still 20th century to physically show up to these meetings and then just try to learn and bring everything, tie it together and bring it to you guys.
Thank you for the report. I appreciate you going there and bringing that information back. That's helpful. And any questions?
I have a question. I wanted to ask are they specifically trying to keep all the disabled in one building or, that's what I thought. Yeah.
In fact, Chair Gordon, no relation, but she's less than she said that they're going out of their way the word she used was othering people, to other them. And anybody who might be, have the appearance of having a lower socioeconomic, look. They just don't want them in their buildings. But the irony is we still can't understand who would, if you could afford to live in those buildings, who would want to live there anyways? Because the square footage, they're so aesthetically ugly. I don't know if you've seen the plans. I've been collecting. It's a big pile of one of the architects of Ottinger and Associates or something. I mean, there's no open windows, no balconies, nothing. I mean, they're hideous, like Bohausian, concrete monstrosities. And then there's going to be also, just so you know, like a greenhouse effect because of the exposure to the sun. The big thick glass, none of the windows open. And the Architectural Review Board, I feel for them because of the fact that Newsom and Scott Wiener and Bonta, there's some sort of legislation that takes away complete local control. The Architectural Review Board would not vote for approval for these buildings. But what happened is if they refuse approval 3 times, then Newsom and Bonta and Wiener will sue the city of Santa Monica, which of course is something we can't afford to defend. It's lawfare. And so now the Architectural Review Board is constrained to just making aesthetic approvals like tile color and, paint color and, what kind of the architectural terms that they use, the fresco, stuff like that. So that's
Doesn't make sense.
just pretty much.
It's just like, okay, so if they try to sue City of Santa Monica,
right, because
I mean, later they will face 100% lawsuits.
well, no,
Because of the way how it built. It's 100% people will be complaining about the small boxes, greenhouse effects, etc., etc. So, I mean, it's kind of like both way. I mean, I'm not understand, like somebody just gives the green lights for those investors and,
well, I think it's probably the planning.
it doesn't make sense. You cannot separate people with disability in a separate building and say that's for others. So they should not be treated differently.
Yeah, but just look for that.
It's just like
that concept, off-site affordable housing. That's what the developers are saying. That's coming up in all the meetings. As far as the planning commission, we've tried to do a loophole. We're learning as we go, like with the Landmarks Commission. If we had found out, like for example, there's the gap on 20th and Wilshire. And historically, that was the second gap. The first one was in San Francisco. If we had gone in and found out early enough and have that declared a historic landmark, they wouldn't be able to demolish that building. So we're kind of learning as we go here because we've been blindsided. I mean, it's just pretty much like a bulldozer. In fact, if you look at what's going to be happening in Palisades, most of those people aren't going to be able to go back. They want to do the same thing. They want to do high rises in Palisades.
they just approved, I believe, yesterday or like when, to build 3-story houses
I have another question.
on a family
what do you think the Disability Commission could do to bring this situation to more public view? Is there anything that we are able to do to get it so that more people are aware that this is going on?
I think that would be good for 13A. Maybe we invite the Housing Commission and see, because it seems like finding out where we can advocate, whether it's, maybe there's some things we can, maybe, like you gave the example of tiles, or, whatever those things we can have input on, being clear about those. So I think inviting the Housing Commission here to talk about how we can, what advocacy will be effective, and then their ideas on how to, get the word out on things that are helpful. I think that would be an effective route, so let's bring that up on 13.
May I? If we read that municipal code and understand our power, so we can be kind of like advising, right? Can we create some sort of, I don't know, letter to city councils and saying like, hey guys, we're paying attention, a lot of going on, people with disability left behind, we keep like hearing stories when they not accommodate properly, they kind of like, pushed away. So we have this situation, that situation. Can you please step in and help us to protect our citizens here?
So
So because we have like sidewalk issue, parking issue, housing issue, people kind of like losing their apartment, they cannot find help, they going through circles. Like we should kind of like, I think city can do better, honestly.
So a possibility is you could create like an ad hoc focused on housing recommendations to support people with disabilities in Santa Monica. That ad hoc could meet, bring in some subject matter experts, bring in the Housing Commission, and then use those insights to create a letter. Like that would be the process. And that's like the process we're doing for AI is,
Let's do it because like, we were in a one meeting together, so and there was like old lady who kind of like losing her apartment.
Yeah.
She's going through circles, denials. She's like 70+ years old lady who had limited income, who on disability. She has no help. Like, and it's just like she already stressed out. People can die from stress, especially on those ages. So we kind of like have to step in and ask city to make it a little bit easy for people with disability to solve all those issues, because like stress can be dangerous. So, and putting people through all this stress, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm communicating with legal aid. I know how, like, what they can do and what they cannot do. So they are trying hard. So, but it's not like they can step in and fix it in one day. No, it's a process. And for example, that lady, okay, she is losing, for example, tomorrow or 10 days from now. And all this process involving legal aid, housing authority, etc., it can take months after months. Where she should go? So, I mean, we have to kind of like really ask city councils to kind of like focus on people who like really entitled to help, to be helped.
Yeah, I agree. So a process is, we have item 4, if that's a new ad hoc you'd be interested in establishing, you could bring it up, or if you want to bring it up at next meeting, and we can work on trying getting someone from the Housing Commission or subject matter experts in this field to inform that talk. And a role we can always do is provide technical assistance, information, resources, level setting with the public that this process is going to take a while. Here's best practices to navigate it. Things like that. That's something we can, that's part of our role is advising on how to navigate these complicated processes that take a while.
Also, like Legal Aid Foundation, they can give us a better picture of what people complaining about, right? So, city attorney do have information what people complaining about, like people with disability, why they underserved. It's really good to hear from those offices, like what they like to say to us. So collect that information and just create a letter and ask for help. Because it's a Santa Monica.
Yeah. No,
It should be kind of like much better here, especially when it's like lots of people, retired people. I mean, I don't know.
you know, that's something also within our scope is we can bring subject matter experts, ask them to give a report with data, insights. We take the information with that report, combine it with our expertise, give advice to the city in the form of a letter, in the form of a public hearing, things like that. So that it's a process though. So
Yeah, okay.
we gotta, but I like where you're going with it. I see a lot of lights up.
I did, Chair Gordon isn't feeling very well, but I did ask her if she wanted to show up because it'd be great if a couple of housing commission people, let me text her and say if she can't, then somebody else can. Because we need to work together. We can't be, I think we're just too cut off because everything is moving at such an accelerated rate. I mean, I just haven't seen things move to demo permits going on, the fire, seemed to have been like real, convenient thing, I mean, they got BlackRock that's gonna come in to Palisades and build high rises there. And so, I mean, it's just happening very quickly. So we gotta coordinate.
Yeah, if you have or I can find her email. I can shoot her an email and invite her to come.
Chair Gordon?
Yeah,
I have it.
yeah.
There was also one representative. He was making a presentation about affordable housing, and for example, I learned that you cannot just like find affordable apartment, by searching through city. There is a special line of people, a special application process. So you have to kind of like apply first with the city to be qualified in the future for some places. So, and that guy, he did like very nice presentation. And I do have contact information if we decide to kind of like invite him. So I will share with you.
If you want to reach out with your Santa Monica email and CC me, that
Okay.
we can go from there.
Okay.
And I do just want to mention too, I promised last time that I'd email the Auditor Architects. I did email them, but I didn't hear back. But I was only able to find contact information just for the general company.
Oh, did we talk about that?
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah, did we? Okay.
So yeah, I think I might need to do some like sleuthing to find the email address of, the actual email address of like someone on the leadership team.
I've got the big, thick packets if you ever want me to bring some.
That might be helpful. There might be some
Okay.
more useful contact information in there.
Because I don't even really know anything that much about the developers, but I could give you actually one of the packets I think would be a good idea because, that way they have the square footage, but it's hard to read. But you're real sharp about going through this, and so I'll give you one of the packets.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
So that was a really good discussion. We have some action items. We'll follow up on that. I'm gonna keep it moving to what are we on 9A4 discussion and possible action on creating new ad hocs. And just think about it if nothing comes on, But this is going to be a standing item, so if something, you're really interested in, a topic you want to dive in, we keep this on every agenda.
Yeah, it's something that we've already talked about a bit. It might be worth doing after the AI ad hoc wraps up. Was disaster relief, because I think that there are sort of programs in place and procedures to help people with disabilities or mobility issues evacuate in the case of a disaster. But I'm not. I think one of the missing links might just be kind of a register or database of who needs assistance. So if you happen to know someone who does need the assistance, like they can get the assistance. But if no one knows that a particular person needs assistance, then there's kind of a gap there. So I know that the LA County has been looking into this. I don't know what the status of it is because I haven't checked back in a couple of months now. But maybe when the AI ad hoc wraps up, we can focus a little bit more on that issue.
No, I think that's a great idea for an ad hoc, and also I've heard good things about the registry, and also we can maybe get into how to mitigate potential negative.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you make a list
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people with certain characteristics, that's always very dangerous territory.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a good one, and I hear something housing related, but maybe over the next weeks or month, think about like zoning in on what about that. And the ad hoc, and then even start thinking about potential people to bring in, and we'll work with you to try and get them.
Yeah, yeah, because I know the Housing Commission has been given the runaround, and it's been given the brush off, too, and with City Council, and so it would be great if we could if you could coordinate and get together, I think, because it would strengthen us, I think.
So keep this top of mind. Will be a standing item on this, and if you got a good idea, bring it here. I'm going to keep it moving to subsection 5, discussion and possible action on establishing liaisons for Santa Monica boards and commissions. Yeah, this will also be a standing one. If in the past, a lot of commissioners would be a liaison for a board they're passionate about. I'd like someone at some point. I'd recommend we have someone at Human Services. If someone's passionate about that, I'd recommend we get someone there at some point. When it was Social Services, I used to liaison for that one. But no pressure, just think about it, but I'll open it up if anyone has any thoughts. All right, just keep it top of mind. If you get any excited about any commission, bring it here and we'll make it happen. All right, I'm gonna move it to 13, Disability Commission member discussion items. 13A, future agenda of planning. Just some context, this is not a comprehensive list. These are just what I got in time for the agenda. It's probably incomplete, but, and our liaison helped with this as well, but just wanna, we captured a few things we've talked about, but during this item, also, during the course of this meeting, I've noted legal aid presentation as something, housing commission, and maybe some other housing subject matter experts. So yeah, just want to open up for future ideas, and also next month we have a confirmed guest from Public Works, Tony Lopez. So we have a speaker for next month.
City attorneys
One more.
from city attorney office.
City attorney office, okay.
So is that thing for the airport?
So I think it would be good that, like, for example, in May, we had 2 groups come and visit. It would be good to get updates, sort of get that in, even if they came in for 5 minutes. For example, we had the Exodus or whatever, the bridge. And I assume it opened in May, and they have a page here on disability services. Be good to know how many people they're treating. Is that actually some disability issues coming up?
Update.
Yeah, so just getting updates. And the other one would be the parking study. This was a double day that we had. And according to this.
That's right.
Parking should have been adopted. It'd be great to get an update. I don't know, maybe anyone here might know what happened with the 20-foot rule. I know
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner
Of the
Kazmia Dodge
beaches.
had some strong concerns about it. Be good to know sort of how that played out. So my point on that is not these in particular, it'd be great to know, but let's follow up. And it's great. We're getting a really long list.
Yeah.
It's amazing and be
We
successful.
also talk about invite architect, no?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
Yeah,
Um,
last
So-
meeting.
Yeah, no, I reached out to them. I didn't hear back, but it was just through the sort of generic contact email. So I'll just try to do some sleuthing and see if I can find the email of, someone in the firm's leadership, and maybe we'll hear back.
No, and Vice Chair, that's a great point. Just when we bring folks here, when we have our Q&A after they do their report and we ask questions, we need to be clear. Come back in 6 months or whenever the deliverable is and either send us an email or come here and give us a 5-minute closing the loop with the follow-up. We need to be more clear about that. So we'll improve that.
Also, I would like to say that we seen a lot of presentation. Everybody try to speak only like positive things and kind of like sharing their success. But there is a lot of negative things also. I prefer to hear mistake and negative things happening to kind of avoid it or kind of like be aware of. So, and share with people that, hey, listen, this perfect picture, but it can be like this. You have to be ready. So, I mean, all those list of invitation, I don't want to hear only like, oh, we're doing great, 99% of cases, we just solve it, blah, blah, blah. No, we need like real statistic to understand what in reality going on. So because I hear from people totally different information.
I believe the thing, though, to enable that to happen is we first have to get a benchmark. We have to find out some data, for example, legal aid, what they have. And after we hear that, we can build a process by which reviewing it.
Yeah, that's
I'm not a big fan of, I have hearsay, I heard this or that.
Yeah.
I'm more like, I want to hear what they have to say, positive, present the case of these organizations. Then we take that data and we invite them back in 2 months after we've perhaps had a chance to dig in.
yeah. What I'm saying, yes, I would like to see
Yeah.
the data, but not corrected data, like true data, like with everything. So.
And we can also ask them, like, what are your learnings? What are your challenges? And also, part of it is building the relationship as we, the first one, we'll learn some things, but over time, I think as we build better relationships with these folks, they will be we'll be able to dive. That's been my experience, maybe some, but I think building relationships with folks is important and something we can work on.
That brings up a sort of technical issue. If we do a follow-up, let's say we write the parking, whoever the parking group was, and we say, what's an update? They send an update via emails. That's something that we then put, if they're not going to visit, what do? We share it, we put it here, we bring it up. How does that work?
To my understanding, it can be presented as public comment. We'll say, hey, we'd love to share your findings with the commission and the public. So their response is going to take into account that it's going to be public comment for both you and something that can be posted online. So that communication can be, as long as we're telling them ahead of time, hey, we want to, have this as public knowledge, they can provide that feedback with the assumption that it's going to be read by the whole city.
And if you're interested specifically in the parking update, you can read the city manager's update email, and it's all the information is in there.
Yeah. Yeah, they attach files.
And if you see stuff like that, feel free to email it to me too, because I can get it on the agenda. Like if there's public information on the city website or something, like a city manager update, I can put it in the public comment or somewhere on the agenda that's appropriate and say, hey, we had follow-up from May's presentation from the parking group. There's a city manager update, and then, you know, so that's also an option. You can send me stuff at any time.
Yeah, it looks like they had a discussion at the city council meeting yesterday on this. So I don't know what happened there, but
I didn't finish to listen the whole meeting. I'm just kind of like partially.
And just a comment on the city council. So when I did the proclamation thing, I said, you know, we'd love to meet you, and a couple folks were like, yeah, I'd like to come to your meetings, and so there is some interest there, so.
From members of the city council?
Yeah.
Really? Which ones?
I'm drawing a blank on their name because I'm tired, but there was more, like when I walked from here to there to take the photo, they're like, yeah, please send your meeting, I'd love to come. I'm just trying.
When was that?
What's the last Tuesday of July, the 29th?
That was at the city council meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
After I did, you know, after they said the proclamation, I said a couple words for like 10 minutes, and I said, please, we'd love to have you come to our meeting. And then when I was walking over, a couple of them were like, okay, yeah, send me your info.
Was it real packed?
Yeah, there were a lot of people. They have a policy, if there's more than 25 speakers on an item, it's limited to a minute, and there were more than 25 speakers, so it was packed.
Yeah, because I heard they've been going till like 2 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning.
I was only here for the first part, but it was
Because you
busy.
were non-agenda.
I was special item, yeah,
Oh, okay.
beginning of the agenda.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is interest. I'll be more direct and reach out, but I think
That'd be good.
we could get at least one or more to come.
I listened at the meeting, and I paid attention that there was like DEI team, and they made some sort of presentation, and they talk a lot about resources and disability. So I don't know, probably they can share something with us. So the specific person, I can provide you a name, like who actually like really is.
They met with us a year or so ago, so that's tied to his, is we got to do a better job with a follow-up and update, because
Okay.
we were part of the process to get to that plan, so it would be great to have an update. Now the plan, can you go over the plan? So that's a good one. I'll reach out to the DEI. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Lisa Parson,
Lisa Parson?
Parson.
Okay. There was a gentleman too that was there.
David. Yeah,
Okay, we'll put that on the list.
but she talked a lot about disability, and I understand like she had some sort of experience with all this social work around. I mean, she was sound professional to me, so that's why I remember name.
Yeah, the gentleman was just starting when he came, and he wanted our feedback, and we had a good back and forth, but it would be good to hear an update now that they've done a deliverable with city council, so that's a good one. That's on the list. And I'd really like to talk to someone around digital accessibility directly. This has been a long-standing one. I know they just hired some folks, but continue to due diligence to get someone. And I did reach out. I sent an email to the city manager, and he wants to meet with us. His staff is going to work on it. He wants to meet with a lot of people, and he responded quickly. So that was just That's just really nice. Just that you send something out, you say, I got it, it's on my list, my staff's working on it, here's my staff. Said, thank you, keep us posted. So that, I don't have a specific, but that loop is happening a little bit better is a step forward. I just don't like kind of black hole, not hearing anything, so that was good. And I'll keep you posted, because once we get an official date, I think that'll be a priority to meet with them. And I'm not sure if it'll be, yeah, I'll just give you details when I hear from the staff member on how we're gonna meet with them. So we have a lot of stuff on the agenda. Another one too is the library is, they've come in the past where we created that list of resources for the library. I'd love to update that. We could probably do that virtually. And again, if you have great books you're reading, movies, anything in the library, send it to me and I'll send it to the library. Like I'm thinking of like Crip Camp, there was a PBS special, and there's a thing on Jim Abbott the other week. So if you have good stuff, good books you're reading that about people with disabilities, and bonus points if it's in the Santa Monica Library and you have the link to the library, I want to update our collection. Okay, it's getting to the ninth inning. Just want to, did I miss anything? And again, if you can, we don't have to always be on the spot. If something comes to you the moment we leave the door, shoot me an email. I check that stuff regularly and we'll bring it back. So if stuff comes to you in the shower, whatever later, send it later. It's fine. I just want to do a last call. Alrighty, I'm gonna move to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a, anyone want to move to?
Second?
Not sure we need to move. I was
Okay.
told that you
Okay.
have the power to just.
I adjourn
call
the
it.
meeting, move in a second. All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone. This is good.